He stood there trembling, a legend mourning another legend. When Bill Cosby stepped up to that microphone at Malcolm Jamal Warner's funeral, no one expected what came next. Tears streamed down his face as he revealed a haunting truth, something the world had never heard before. And in that moment, even the cameras couldn't capture the full weight of what was said. But what did Cosby say? And why did his words leave even the strongest in the room speechless? The bond between Bill Cosby and Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just something created for the cameras. It was real, personal, and built over decades of love, mentorship, and shared struggle. From the moment they met on The Cosby Show, Malcolm wasn't just a co-star, he became like a son. And when news broke that Malcolm had suddenly passed away, the world gasped. But no one, absolutely no one, was more devastated than Bill Cosby himself. What unfolded at the private funeral stunned even those closest to the family. Cosby didn't just grieve, he spoke from a place of raw pain, exposing deep regrets, hidden memories, and the darker side of fame that followed them both. His tribute wasn't scripted, it was real, and for many, it finally revealed how close the two truly were and how far things had spiraled behind the scenes. In today's video, we're going deep. You'll hear never-before-heard accounts from people inside the funeral, witness reactions from co-stars like Felicia Rashad and Tempest Bledsoe, and learn about Malcolm's final days, including disturbing details many tried to keep buried. You won't believe what Bill Cosby said in that eulogy and why it left so many in tears. This is where it gets emotional, raw, and shocking, so stay with us till the end. You'll want to hear everything. From the very beginning of The Cosby Show, Bill Cosby took young Malcolm Jamal Warner under his wing, not just as a co-star, but as a father figure. Malcolm, who was only 14 when he first appeared as Theo Huxtable, quickly became the heart and soul of the Huxtable family on screen. But behind the scenes, the bond was even deeper. Insiders from the set often described how Cosby would spend hours with Malcolm after filming, teaching him about the television industry, personal branding, and perhaps most importantly, how to carry himself as a young black man in a world that often doesn't forgive mistakes. Cosby saw promise in Malcolm. He treated him like the son he always wanted, and Malcolm returned that loyalty with admiration and respect. In a 2012 interview, Malcolm even said, "Bill taught me how to be a man, not just how to act like one on TV." But as the years went on and scandals started to surround Cosby, their relationship was quietly strained. Malcolm, who built a clean and respected reputation in Hollywood, began to distance himself publicly, not out of hate, but out of self-preservation. Still, those who were close to both men say their emotional connection never truly faded. So when news broke that Malcolm Jamal Warner had tragically passed away at just 54 years old in what some are still calling a mysterious drowning incident, Cosby reportedly collapsed in grief. Sources say he kept whispering, "Not my Theo, not my Theo." What happened next, no one expected. Bill Cosby, frail, aging, and deeply emotional, requested to speak at the funeral, and what he said would leave the entire room frozen in silence. The church was packed, cameras were kept out, but inside, the atmosphere was electric with grief, confusion, and a haunting sense of finality. Hollywood elites, former castmates, longtime friends, and devoted fans had gathered to pay their final respects to Malcolm Jamal Warner, a man who had grown up in front of the world's eyes and remained respected through it all. But no one was prepared when an old, trembling figure walked slowly to the pulpit, Bill Cosby. Escorted by 2 aides, one on each arm, Cosby stood before the casket of the man he once called "my TV son" and looked out over the mourners with tear-filled eyes. Despite everything that had happened over the years, the trials, the convictions, the controversies, Cosby had returned for one reason: to speak about Malcolm. His voice cracked as he began. "I knew this young man before he had his first beard, before the world called him a star. I called him my boy, not my biological son, but something more, a son of spirit." Gasps rippled through the room as Cosby opened up, not just about their friendship on set, but the private talks, the jokes between scenes, the times he watched Malcolm cry over rejection, heartbreak, and Hollywood's pressure. He went on to say, "This industry can eat you alive," and yet he stood tall. He walked through fire and never let the smoke touch his soul. But it wasn't just love and memories Cosby brought to the funeral. His speech suddenly took a shocking, darker turn, one no one expected at such a solemn moment. With a stern gaze, Cosby declared, "And yet there were people around him who didn't protect him. There were whispers, dangers, pressures, and now he's gone, not because he was reckless, but because others were." The room fell completely silent. People began exchanging nervous glances. Had Cosby just implied Malcolm's death wasn't an accident, that something or someone contributed to it? Even Felicia Rashad, seated in the front row, reportedly dropped her head and closed her eyes tightly as if to brace for what came next. And then Cosby ended with one final line. "Theo, wherever you are now, forgive us. We couldn't save you." Tears flowed freely. Even the most composed in the room, actors, executives, pastors, were seen wiping their eyes. But beyond the grief, a deeper emotion lingered: suspicion. Something about Malcolm's death wasn't sitting right, and Cosby had just cracked open the lid of a box no one was ready for. While the world was still reeling from Cosby's cryptic words at the funeral, Felicia Rashad, the woman who played Malcolm Jamal Warner on The Cosby Show, finally broke her silence, and what she revealed sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. After remaining composed throughout the funeral, Rashad took to a quiet media room days later for a private interview, not with a major network, but with a trusted journalist she had worked with before. Her reason? She needed to speak freely. No cameras, no filters, just truth. And the first thing she said, "I believe Malcolm knew something was coming. He didn't say it out loud, but he said enough." The world leaned in. Felicia recounted that just 7 days before Malcolm's sudden drowning, they had a lengthy phone call, something rare these days with their busy lives. He'd reached out late at night, his voice tired, distant, yet desperate to talk. According to Rashad, Malcolm started the conversation with a chilling sentence: "If anything ever happens to me, I just want you to know I love you, Mama." She was taken aback. She laughed it off at first, thinking it was just Malcolm being emotional, but what followed wiped her smile off her face. Malcolm admitted he'd been under pressure from certain executives and old associates trying to drag him back into situations he had long walked away from. People from the past were suddenly reaching out, and not with friendly intentions. He said, "They want me to stay silent, but I can't do that anymore." Felicia asked him what he meant, but he only responded with, "You'll see, it's going to come out soon." She pushed him to clarify, begged him not to go down a path that could put him in danger, but he deflected, laughing gently and changing the topic. Still, his tone never recovered. There was weight in his words, a quiet heaviness that hadn't been there before. Rashad then dropped the biggest bombshell. "I believe Malcolm was preparing to expose something. He didn't tell me exactly what, but he was scared. Not for his career, for his life." That one statement changed everything. It reframed the conversation around Malcolm Jamal Warner's death. Was it really a tragic accident or something more sinister? Was he, as Cosby suggested, let down by those who should have protected him? And what exactly did he plan to expose before he died? Rumors began to swirl that Malcolm had recorded files, old emails, and contracts tied to Hollywood deals that were never supposed to see the light of day. Some suggested he had dirt on major executives, while others claimed he had grown disillusioned with the entire industry and had been preparing to leave it behind for good. Whatever the truth was, Felicia Rashad's confession only added more fuel to a fire that wasn't going out anytime soon. As the days passed after Malcolm Jamal Warner's shocking death, the public began to accept the official story: accidental drowning while on a solo retreat. But for many, including close friends, former co-stars, and even members of Malcolm's own family, something about the story never added up. Let's break it down and expose the shocking inconsistencies in the official police narrative. According to the initial report, Malcolm checked into a secluded lakeside cabin resort just outside of Vancouver. Surveillance footage shows him arriving around 4:17 p.m. on a Thursday, parking his rented SUV and unloading groceries and a duffel bag. The staff said he seemed tired but polite, his usual mellow self, as one front desk employee put it. By Friday morning, he was spotted on the dock sipping coffee alone, writing in a leather-bound notebook, a routine that seemed peaceful. But by Saturday morning, his body was discovered in the water, face down near the rocks by the far end of the dock. No signs of struggle, no signs of trauma. Official cause of death? Asphyxia due to accidental drowning. Sounds neat, right? But here's where it gets suspicious.